Is Caitlin Clark the brightest new star in women's basketball? Or is she the victim of one of the most perplexing officiating sagas the WNBA has ever witnessed? From her breathtaking college performances to her explosive debut in the pros, Clark's rise has been nothing short of sensational. Yet with each astonishing play, a new question emerges about how she's being treated on the court. Is this standard rookie adversity, or is there a deeper issue at hand? Long before Clark set foot in a WNBA arena, she was a phenomenon. Her college highlights were must-watch events, flooded with no-look passes and shots from near half-court. By the time she turned pro, excitement reached a fever pitch. Early on, she delivered exactly what fans expected: logo-range threes, dazzling assists, and a swagger that screamed, "I belong here." Yet almost immediately, observers noticed something odd. She'd slash through the lane, absorb clear contact, and no whistle would blow. The first few times, fans shrugged it off as part of a rookie's steep learning curve. But as it happened again and again, people started asking why the officials weren't granting Clark the same calls they seemed to give other players, especially those of her caliber. The stakes hit a new level during a heated playoff game against the Connecticut Suns. Clark, fresh off a string of highlight-worthy performances, took a brutal swipe to the face while attacking a hoop. She staggered back, blinking through pain as the crowd waited for the obvious foul call. Nothing came. Anger reverberated through the stands, while social media exploded with outrage. Some labeled it the most blatant missed call of the year. Clark toughed it out, staying in the game despite nursing a bruised eye and struggling with her shot. It was a testament to her grit. But it also underscored a nagging question: if the league can't, or won't, protect one of its biggest new stars from what seemed like an obvious foul, what does that say about overall officiating standards? As the season progressed, the hits continued. Some were standard basketball collisions, but others left fans wincing in disbelief. In one matchup, an opponent planted a shoulder into Clark at midcourt, sending her sprawling. The replay looked almost malicious, but the refs called it a common foul. That's when the debate took off in earnest. Are defenders simply testing the mettle of a confident rookie known for her range and fearlessness? Or is there an unspoken directive that physical play against Clark is acceptable? While seasoned analysts argue that tough defense is normal, supporters insist the line between physical and dangerous has been crossed multiple times, putting both Clark's health and fair competition at risk. As if the no calls weren't enough, Clark also found herself on the receiving end of swift technical fouls for actions that seemed minor. During a tense contest with the Seattle Storm, she slapped the stanchion in frustration after a missed shot and was immediately whistled for a tech. Fans and broadcasters alike were baffled. Hadn't they seen other players punch the air or yell at referees without repercussions? This uneven application of rules only fueled the controversy. One moment, Clark endures a blatant shove with no call. The next, she's penalized for a harmless display of personal frustration. Many began to suspect a broader pattern, questioning whether certain officials were scrutinizing Clark's every move while turning a blind eye when she was on the receiving end of rough play. One of the season's most jaw-dropping moments took place during a stoppage in play. Clark was winding up the crowd, waving her arms to get fans on their feet, when a veteran star casually strolled up behind her and delivered a clear shoulder bump. The cameras caught the contact in crisp detail. The officials, however, let it slide. No foul. No warning. Social media erupted. Viewers wondered whether the referees were simply missing these incidents or choosing to overlook them. Clark stumbled but remained focused, refusing to retaliate or argue. For her supporters, it was yet another example of how she was being targeted while officials stayed silent. And TikTok. For Caitlin Clark, these moments accumulate into a highlight reel of near-flagrant hits, missed calls, and questionable texts. Hashtags calling out bias in the WNBA officiating started trending, with fans demanding an investigation or at least an acknowledgement from the league. The WNBA's official statements about improving consistency did little to quell the uproar. People wanted specifics. How does a vicious hit to the face go unnoticed? Why is a mild show of frustration a technical? The ambiguity only deepened suspicions. Each new game featuring Clark became a must-watch event. Would the refs finally crack down on physicality, or would Clark's resilience be tested yet again? Despite the mounting controversies, Clark remains steady. Coaches praise her ability to brush off adversity and refocus on winning. Teammates describe her as the ultimate competitor, someone who refuses to let questionable officiating dictate her morale. She continues racking up points, assists, and fans, proving her mettle under extreme scrutiny. But even the toughest athlete can feel the weight of persistent doubt. When a rookie repeatedly faces borderline dangerous play without protection, it raises concerns about long-term effects, both physical and psychological. So far, Clark uses every no call and technical as fuel, turning each perceived slight into a reason to perform at her absolute best. There's no denying that Clark's saga has drawn attention, elevating conversation around the WNBA. Dramatic narratives can boost ratings, and each new controversy draws media coverage that might otherwise focus on other sports. In a sense, the league benefits from the spotlight. Yet there's a risk. If viewers perceive the games as unfair or unsafe, the league's credibility could erode. Sponsors might wonder whether the environment fosters top-tier competition or if stories of missed calls overshadow the action. Balancing entertainment and integrity is essential, especially with a talented generation of players poised to redefine women's basketball. A star like Caitlin Clark should be a marketing dream. Her game is tailor-made for highlight reels, and her personality resonates with a new generation of fans. She's a walking story, a symbol of the league's evolving playstyle and its bright future. So why risk alienating viewers by letting questionable officiating overshadow her ascent? Some believe this controversy, ironically, keeps people watching. Drama sells, after all. Each game featuring Clark becomes must-see TV because nobody knows what will happen. Will she torch opponents for 30 points, or will she get hammered by defenders and tossed a baffling technical? The unpredictability draws crowds and garners clicks. But relying on controversy is a short-term strategy at best. If fans start to believe the games aren't being called fairly, any surge in popularity could collapse under skepticism. New fans drawn in by Clark's brilliance might quickly turn away if they sense the league isn't taking care of its own players. Let's not forget the psychological toll all this can have on an athlete. Competing at the highest level is already challenging enough. Add in constant borderline calls, questionable treatment, and persistent speculation about unfair officiating, and even the strongest minds can falter. Yet Clark appears more focused than ever. She rarely complains, never publicly trashes the officials, and keeps delivering big performances. Teammates speak glowingly about her leadership in the locker room. Apparently, as she tells them, "Don't get hung up on calls, let's control what we can." That mindset has spread throughout her squad, who have developed a scrappy, never-quit identity mirroring Clark's approach to adversity. In a way, the adversity has galvanized the team, making them a tougher out for even the league's elite competitors. Still, as outsiders looking in, it's tough not to wonder how long she can keep this up. Every player has a breaking point. Clark's calm demeanor and gritty resilience might be unwavering for now, but repeated injustice, real or perceived, could weigh heavily on anyone over time. Clark's story highlights larger concerns about officiating across the WNBA. Other players have also cited inconsistent whistles, though Clark's high-profile status magnifies each incident. Veteran stars have spoken about adjusting to physical play early in their careers, but many admit Clark's experiences feel especially extreme. Various theories have emerged. Some say referees, accustomed to certain playing styles, haven't adapted to Clark's quick-fire shooting and aggressive drives. Others believe the hype around her triggers more intense defense and a subconscious bias against her. Regardless of which explanation you favor, the conversation has reached a tipping point. Media outlets keep replaying the same hits, misses, and confusion. Fans demand clarity, while coaches demand fair treatment. Every new game brings both excitement and unease. Will Clark break another shooting record, or be blindsided by yet another uncalled foul? The tension has turned her every contest into must-see TV, but also a referendum on how well the league safeguards its emerging stars. Clark's focus on excellence never wavers. In interviews, she rarely complains, preferring to highlight her team's performance rather than officiating woes. Still, those around her wonder how many more bruises and frustrations she'll have to endure before things change. If the WNBA wants to showcase its rising talents, shouldn't it ensure they're protected from unnecessary risk? 10 controversial incidents, a slew of baffling non-calls, and a flood of fan anger have defined Caitlin Clark's rookie story. Yet through every collision, snub, and technical, she continues to shine. Her ability to excel under pressure has become as big a narrative as the questionable officiating itself. Ultimately, the league stands at a crossroads. By addressing these inconsistencies head-on, clarifying rules, and holding refs accountable, the WNBA can maintain the integrity of a sport that thrives on fairness and athletic brilliance. Ignoring the problem risks losing fans who doubt the authenticity of the competition. And overshadowing Clark's gifts with endless speculation about bias could deter new viewers from appreciating her singular skill set. One thing is certain, Clark's journey has only just begun, and the conversation about fairness in the WNBA is far from over. What do you think? Is she being unfairly targeted, or is this simply the price of rising stardom? Sound off in the comments, like, and subscribe for more deep dives into the hottest topics in sports. Whether Clark is forging her path against all odds or enduring a disproportionate level of scrutiny, she's already reshaping the league's narrative, and the best may still be ahead. Stay tuned as every new tip-off brings the possibility of more collisions, heated debates, and epic highlights. ensuring Caitlin Clark's saga remains a focal point in women's basketball.